Welcome to the Magic Lighthouse Podcast. For those of us who are aware that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, the Magic Lighthouse is your mystical pit stop, your spiritual tune-up, your place to pause, reflect, and realign with the next phase of our journey. Join me, Violet Conce, on this adventure to harmonize and amplify the light within ourselves and each other as we raise the consciousness of the planet, one conversation at a time. Thank you for being here and sharing your light with us. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of the Magic Lighthouse Podcast. Today we have Malachi Mott of malachimott.com, and I'm really excited to have this conversation. We're going to be talking about creativity and music and spirituality and all kinds of cool things like that. Thank you, Malachi, for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on here.
Awesome. How's your day been going so far?
So far, so good. Just running errands and making sure everything is gonna go smooth for the next week.
That's a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
For sure. So Malachi is a music producer, a creativity coach, specializing in helping artists figure out how to reach the finish line powerfully and reliably. Very important. In his music career, he's worked at Interscope Records and worked with people like Sia, ZEDD, and The Game. He also collaborates internationally, producing, writing, and rapping via the internet. It's a great place. And in his coaching career, he has mentored over 500 artists in the past 6 years. Wow, that is quite the resume. And I'm sure you've done a lot more than that too. But very, very cool. And I love it. Is there anything else you want to add to that intro that you want people to know about you before we dive into the convo?
I think you touched on everything. I think at the core, like everything you said, is what I believe I was put here to do. Now, yeah, there's other things I do, like I can draw, paint, make music videos, stuff like that. But I feel like when I'm doing coaching and helping people get to the finish line, I really do feel like I'm living out my life's purpose.
What we normally do on this podcast in the beginning is we do a little meditation, a little breathing, a little just like taking a moment to ground, to connect, and just be in a receiving mode of the divine, and also being in a space where we're connected, energetically through Zoom with our listeners here. So what do you think about taking a couple moments here to just breathe and meditate? And
I'm down.
Also, yeah, you're down? Okay, cool.
Let's do it.
I'm also going to do something a little different. I normally just lead a meditation, but I'm also going to channel Reiki, which is a healing energy. We're all connected. You're connected to Reiki. I just have certain symbols that kind of like harness or bring in a certain frequency. Enjoy the beautiful music in the background, made custom by Malachi Mott for this episode. Thank you so much, Malachi. Wherever you are, get comfortable. You can sit upright, you can lay down. If you're driving, I suggest either pulling over or skipping this part and coming back to it at another time. And take a deep breath here as you hold it at the top and let it out with a sigh. Take another deep breath here. Hold it at the top. And let that breath out. Now let your breathing return to normal as you think about something that you're grateful for. And just list different things that you're grateful for. And as the energy is flowing towards you and to you, just bask in the things of life that bring you joy. Keep breathing. Take a deep breath here if that feels good for you. Notice any sensations. Notice any emotions that are coming up, any thoughts that you're having. Just notice them. Don't try to change them or fix them. Just be aware. Now on this final deep breath together, take a deep breath in. And let's set an intention for this conversation. What are you going to get out of this conversation? You can just say that to yourself. And let your breath out if you're holding it. And let that intention just settle into your body, into your cells. And let us give thanks to our ancestors, to our spirit guides, our guardian angels, to our higher selves. Let us thank God. Let us thank all our support beings and whoever it is that you go to as your higher power. And let's also acknowledge the ancestors and the original caretakers of the land that we're on. And everything that had to happen for us to all be here in this moment together in this magical container. Now get present to your body, the surface that you're sitting on. Get present to the air around you. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into the space. What are you
Pretty
present
good.
to?
Present to how much gratitude I have. Right, the gratitude one is really easy to find so many things that I'm just grateful for. There's obvious things, and then just present to me being here and being present, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time I've slowed down really in a while.
Taking just even a minute, 2 minutes, to get present and just allow your thoughts and your being just to be can really change and transform the rest of our day and the rest of our impact for the world. Right?
Yep.
So what do you do with the coaching? What's your game? How does this all work? I'm very curious.
So let me see. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it because it is a little bit of a paradigm shift. So I went to school for music production and engineering, right? And I studied at Berklee College of Music, one of the best schools in the world for music, right?
Hats off to you.
And well, thank you. However, this is where the story gets kind of interesting. As I graduated and got a job at Interscope, a lot of the things that they taught me didn't come in handy. And I started noticing that my peers who also graduated, they were having a hard time being able to make music that could make money. But the people we were working for, all of those artists, they never went to school for anything. Like Soulja Boy, for instance, was one that I watched, and he had hit after hit after hit. and he's never gone to school for anything. So I'm like, all right, there's clearly a disconnect in how we teach it versus how it actually is made for real. So that became like my life's work, like digging into what I call the gap, between where they stop teaching us and where we actually have to start learning for ourselves. I ended up having to unlearn like 80% of everything that I learned, mindset wise, the technical stuff, all of that had to go. But once I finally did, things just started flowing and the quality of my music went through the roof and people wanted to buy my music. So what I try to teach is everything that I learned while at Interscope, but teach it to people who might have gone to school for music and they need that mindset shift as well. So that's why coaching is more appropriate than calling me like a teacher or an instructor, because I actually have to listen to each student that I have and see where they're at and what they actually need. And it's usually some kind of form of I'm not good enough that gets in between them, and their dream of finishing their art. And they get that because when you go to school for something, they repeatedly told you're not good enough. You're not good enough. That's why, for you to turn in a project and get a C or a D on it, like that just makes no sense for a piece of art, and they also have this idea of like, once you're good enough, then the doors will open and then the opportunities will come. But it's really like, once you complete and put stuff out and it does well, that's when the doors will open up. You're never going to be good enough. So I had to let go of like, I'm not good enough, or I just accepted I'm not good enough. All right, great. Now I've accepted that. How do I make this work even though I'm not good enough? And that was like the access for me to actually finish my projects. So I pretty much just help everyone see where they're getting in their own way and then help them move that out of their way. So I do one-on-one coaching, and I also have an 8-week program where I show you everything you need to do to make a song and have the song be out in the world doing well in that 8 weeks. And then inside of that, you'll see exactly which step you kind of get stuck on.
Wow, that's really cool. So what do the weeks kind of look like? Can you give a little teaser?
Yeah, let's see how. Yeah, it like the further down the road you go, it won't make sense. So let me see. The easiest way I can sum it up is like I've chopped up. It's like if you were to build a house, right? There's all the different things you have to do to build a house. And it doesn't look anything like you would assume, right? You've got to dig a hole and you've got to like put cement in the hole and then build cinder blocks up the middle. But if you just went into a house, you would never think that that's how you're supposed to do it. So I teach you how to build a song. I don't like the term songwriting because I feel like songs are built. So I'd show you how to build it from the inside out so that, it'll stand the test of time pretty much. And then after you get the foundations down, then I show you how to put your flair on it so that you can make it your own little flair, I like to say the first 4 weeks, I teach you how to, if you're building a car, I teach you how to make the engine and the brakes work, right? And have the structure of it. So there's literally something that can actually move. And then from there, it's like, all right, now what do you do the outside so that people want to actually buy it and get into it? So for the next 4 weeks, that's what I would focus on.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
That sounds very exciting. And I'm like, what level of expertise do people need to have to benefit from a course like this? Like, can I just take this course and be like, hey, I've never built a song. I don't have any musical background, but I want to.
That's a really good question. I think in 2021, you don't really need the expertise because the tools are so available and there's so many ways to do so many things, a million different, ways. And when I started, you really had to learn how to use different pieces of gear. And now if you have a laptop, good headphones, you can literally make whatever you want to make. So I would say the most important thing is someone that's willing to put everything to the side, like everything to the side, learn it a different way and try it 100% that way. That's all you need. And you have to actually enjoy doing it because it's going to take a lot of hours of like tinkering and twisting knobs. So if you don't enjoy sitting there twisting the knobs and just exploring the sound, you're going to get bored and you're not going to want to do it. So Those are the two things: the patience to sit there and twist the knobs and actually enjoy it, and the ability to come from nothing and not say, well, that's not what my teacher said. So I usually, the younger someone is, the easier, because they don't have as much knowledge of music. Whenever I work with someone that's 40, it's like almost impossible, because they have, so many different ways that they learned how to make music, and those ways don't work anymore, or they never did work. A lot of them. Most people, what they do is they come up with inspiration, they write a song, and then after they make the song, they're like, all right, now who do we give it to? And they just get stuck, right? And that's the way I used to do it. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. It's just, you don't do anything else that way. Imagine if you made lemonade, right? And you're like, oh, great, I've got this awesome lemonade. And then you realize you live in Alaska. You're probably not going to sell a lot of lemonade. You got to kind of work backwards. So I teach people how to work backwards. So you make something that literally, when you put it out, you enjoy making it, you enjoy putting it out, everyone enjoys receiving it.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, just try to make it easy and fun.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're looking at the most effective way to have a song be successful, be a hit, have the musician have something in the world that is generating success, so you're not just kind of spinning your wheels, doing the typical starving artist lifestyle where you're working so many hours at a restaurant, and then you're like, but I'm making music, man, and I like have a band. And I know so many people, I've known a lot of people in bands and musicians, and like they get gigs here and there, but never really took off. So
yeah, what does taking off look like? I don't think a lot of people even think about success. Right. So we have a lot of conversations about what is success for you specifically. Exactly. And then the conditions of satisfaction is what I call it. Like, what would make you happy? And what's crazy is you can even try this, and anyone that's listening to this, you could try this next time someone is a starving artist and they play you their music or show you their paintings or whatever. Ask them, what does success with this venture look like? And look at their face and the fear that comes over their face when you ask them that. Yeah. That's what I help with. That instant, like, oh my God, I have to think about like what I actually want. That's the first place I start, and I have them confront that they don't even look at what happiness looks like inside of this venture.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people don't confront that?
I think we're told that we can't have these things. There's a lot. Okay, there's a lot of different factors. So one, that we're taught, like, only if you're worthy or deserving can you have it. So, and then we're also taught to be humble. They keep telling us, be humble, be humble. And then one day I just looked up the word humble. We use that word all the time. It's not a positive word. It means to make yourself smaller than you actually are. And we do it so that the people around us can be comfortable. So I always tell people, don't be humble, just be great and own it. Like, there's no one who has everything they want that sits around going, oh, but I'm not that good at this. No one does that. They just say, yes, I am the number one at this thing I do, and I can totally help you.
Kanye West, isn't he like the epitome of like, okay, I'm amazing, I'm the best?
Okay, so I talk about this too. There's the difference between like being great and, okay, so all right, this is the way. Everything with balance, right? So I always say, like, imagine if you're riding a horse and someone says, hey, get off your high horse, right? You have three options, right? You can go, oh man, you're right. And you can hop off the horse and go, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was doing, like riding this horse, like I'm some special person, The next thing you can do is you can do what Kanye says and says, I'm riding this horse because I'm better than you. And then you ride off into the sunset. The third thing you can do is say, hey, I actually have another horse. If you want, I can teach you how to ride, and you can ride with me. Right. So that's real greatness right there. And that's the hardest thing, because if you really want to push someone away, ask them to be bigger than they already are.
Wow. Say that again. That didn't quite sink in.
If you really want to push
that. Whoa.
If you really want to push someone away, ask them to be bigger than they already are. So I've pushed a lot of people away because, like, I see greatness in everyone. And then I used to expect that greatness. Now I just give them space to be that. And that took a lot of practice. But when you demand of someone that they grow and they're not ready, and you don't do it in a way that they feel safe, they automatically see you as like not a safe person to be around.
Yeah. So are you saying you're not a safe person to be around, or are you saying?
No, I've gotten good at it.
Oh, so
I've
you practiced and now
yeah,
you're
and I'm kind of a magician about it. I'll say, look over here, while over here I'm like making you bigger, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to get masterful at it, and I was teaching at a school, Icon Collective. That's how I was able to mentor so many people. And I started off with like 4 or 5 mentees each quarter, and then they were like, oh man, yeah, we can give you more. And then I had 15, and then eventually I had like 25 every quarter that I was just for an hour a week. And I got to see, like, what I try to do is I see where you are and where you really want to be, like where your soul wants to be. Right. And then I just look at you a little bit bigger every week until you get to that size.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. And then where you're talking about where your soul wants to be, like we're all about that kind of conversation.
Yeah, let's talk about that then, because I've never actually been able to talk about it in this context. I feel like there's where your brain wants you to be, and then there's where your soul wants you to be. And your soul speaks louder than your brain. So when your brain starts talking, everyone that hears it is like, I know that's not what you want to do. Like if you ever had someone that was making music and they said, oh, I don't care if it sells, just as long as someone out there likes it. Yeah. You know it's crap. You know what I mean? You're like, because their soul is saying, I want to share this with the world and I want everyone to hear it. But then their mouth says something way smaller.
It says something so humble, like, let me just little myself here.
And it's like, who cares? If you say, I want everybody in the world to love it, why does that make you less of a person? You do want that. Just say you want that.
Yeah.
But then it's like, do I deserve it? And then also, if I say it, now I have to actually pursue it.
Right. Now I have accountability in the world.
Yep. I remember I told someone I wanted to be the #1 producer. Like I wanted to be that guy that everyone came to. And I told them that in like 2004, maybe 2003. I just remember that, like, as it came out with like this, and I was like, wow, that was interesting that like I just was so resistant to saying out loud that I actually want to be that man that everyone comes to for the music.
Yeah.
You know, and I still want to do that. I'll say it out loud now. I definitely want to be somebody that everybody goes, hey, if you go to Malachi, you're going to get $1 million song every time.
Yes. I mean, I already have people that I want to refer you to help them with their music and their things.
Sweet. So, I'm always down to have a conversation, see if we're a fit. Yeah. I feel like I have to find people at the right time in their journey, because there's so many different like ups and downs, and there's a specific like spot you have to be at where I can actually shoot you to the moon. But I learned that, you know, I tried to help people avoid all of my mistakes, but I don't think that's possible anymore. I think all I can do is help you make all those mistakes faster than I made them.
Right.
So
good way to put it.
Yeah. So I just let go of like trying to make it. I just like, yeah, go do this thing. And then you fall on your face and you come back and like, awesome.
Yeah, it's like when you're riding a bike, like you have to learn how to fall down and get back up, or, you know, I don't think I've known anybody that's never fallen off a bike. And if you're not falling off a bike, then are you actually riding that bike?
Right. And how are you going to learn? Yeah. How are you going to learn how to balance if you're not like getting, if I go like this, it falls this way. Also, this is an interesting one. When you fall off your bike, it hurts. You know, it has to hurt. If it doesn't hurt, then you have no incentive to not fall off the bike again.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people make mistakes and then they don't continue because it hurts so much.
Right. And that's the thing is, you know, sucking at something is the first step to kind of being good at something. That's one of my favorite quotes from Adventure Time. Yeah, but you're right. There's something about going through the ouchy part of it that develops you to be someone. Like, for instance, I'll share with you my business. When I first went doing work for hire online, I had to give a lot of refunds, and I didn't make a lot of money for a while. But every time I did, it hurt my soul, and it hurt my pocket, and hurt my pride, and I then had to build my business a different way to keep that from happening. And now I have a business where literally songs come in, I do the songs, I put them back out, done. And that workflow of like it moving is all a result of all those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen I've seen some of your testimonials, and they're all really good. Like, yeah, he is a pro. He just took my music and just made it amazing, and I love it.
Right.
So
I love
all those.
Yeah, I love those too.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love reading those whenever I'm down. It just reminds me of like the work, because it's really easy to succeed at something and not notice it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really important to have, even if you don't have a website with a list of testimonials, like something that I was told, even when I went to design school, because I went to art school as well. So I'm also familiar with, they don't teach you exactly what the industry looks like. They do their best, but it's not always the way, it works. But something that I was taught was also like to keep a list of positive reinforcement to look at later on down the road in case, I get crap about my design, which sometimes I do.
I just tell people to hurry up and get paid, because that's the best positive reinforcement I've ever seen.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I did a song once. It took me 2 months and about $800. And I was like, this is it. This is the one, right? I put it out along with 2 other songs. No one liked the $800 song. Everyone loved the one that cost me $50 to make. And I made money off of that one. So which one do I love more? I love the one that made me money, not the one that I built and I like put all my heart and soul into. And there's just something about it succeeding. It's like having kids. This is going to be a horrible one. Anyone that has any mom that hears this is going to be very upset in a second. But it's like, imagine you had a bunch, like 3 kids, right? And one goes out in the world and comes back and is just like, I did this, and they're just like, you're gonna like have more joy talking to that kid about whatever versus the one that's in the basement playing video games and getting arrested every day. It doesn't matter what you did with the child. It's just the amount of accomplishment you feel is not related to what you did. It's related to what you see. I don't know. Does that make sense? That's why I said every mom's going to be triggered by that one.
Yeah, I get it. Because I'm also a mom, and I'm like, I feel like, yes, there's that unconditional love throughout all of your children.
And I love them all equally.
Yeah, I can see where it would be like you can celebrate with them and have that experience of that joy together when that person is making strides and succeeding versus the person getting arrested and causing problems. Like, you probably won't be able to celebrate very much with them. Therefore, right. The relationship will not be as strong or as prideful, even though you still have love.
Yeah, thanks for recreating that, because I feel like the love is not the issue. It's the amount of fulfillment and the conversation and the relationship is what I meant to say. So thank you for that. Yeah. There's just something about the songs that I do that I put out and people are like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, that one? Okay. And the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I actually start to like it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see why you like it. Next thing you know, it's my favorite song.
Yeah.
So I try to get people to just have it be successful in whatever arena they want to be successful in first, before they judge it. Don't judge it at all. Like, that's the hardest thing though. You're always going to judge it, but
yeah, that's just gotta put that to the side.
Yeah. And it is like having a kid. Like, it's like you have a certain amount of time to raise it and make it the best thing you can. And then you have to be completely detached and just push it out into the world and cross your fingers. And that's the hardest part, is like trusting that you did your job. So I use that metaphor because I do really feel, I've never had a kid, but I do see the parallel between letting it go into the world, knowing it could fail, and just trusting that you did your job is like the hardest part.
Right. Yeah. Right. What's another difficult part about this industry and what you do? Oh,
okay. So when you say industry, I think a difficult thing is defining what the industry is, because when people say music industry, they're usually talking record labels, right? And I worked at a record label, and I can honestly say I don't believe record labels are in the music industry. They are in the brand exploitation industry. If you have 3 million followers, on TikTok or something, you could get a record deal, even if you never made a song in your life, right? But you could be the best person making songs left and right, but if you don't have millions of something or a brand that you can sell them, they're not going to talk to you. So that was probably the hardest thing, was for me to accept that I should not go to them to help me get better at making music. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that took me 5 years to just let that go. I thought so. All right, here's another one that I'm gonna say that's probably gonna make some people upset. Um, we should try to do less like American Idol and more like Shark Tank. Right? An American Idol, you get talented people who get in front of industry people and let them judge you on what your worth is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Versus Shark Tank, you bring a business to a bunch of business people and you talk business to them and say, I've sold this many, I've done this, I project this. You have to really be a business person. If you can be that person, like I always tell people, stop watching all those, competition shows. Just watch Shark Tank. It's every tool you need right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully that helps some of your listeners.
Yeah, I mean, that gives me a whole new way to look at business too, or, like a creative, especially creative, like that applies, I think, to any venture that you're doing, but especially creatively, like with music, people think, oh, I just have to keep practicing. I just have to hit that note. And it's like, no, like you can, that literally, I mean, if you see some of the music that becomes really popular and these people that become major hits, like it's not because they're talented. It's because, I mean, yes, they are talented. Some of them are talented. A lot of them are talented. And a lot of it is because of their brand and their followers and what's their reach and how controversial are they? How often are they in the news? How can we sell this thing? So I like your distinction between like, well, there's the brand exploitation industry, which is kind of funny, but it's true.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I used to be mad because I would look at the contracts and the word exploit would be on every page at least twice.
What?
Yeah, every contract. Yeah, just go online and Google any record contract, see if you can find one, and you'll literally see that word a lot. And it triggered me because it's like, you're not supposed to be exploiting people. Like, what's going on?
And they're literally saying, we will exploit you.
Yeah.
So please sign here.
100%. So what you have to do is you have to build a brand that is ripe for exploitation and build yourself up as someone spiritually and mentally and emotionally who's strong enough to do business with someone that's trying to exploit you.
Yeah. So is that something that you are avoiding now with music? I mean, you say you want to be a really amazing producer, the best producer. You're going to have to work with these people, right? So what do you say about that? Like if people actually want to be famous and be in these brand exploitation, like there's nothing wrong with it, like you said, because you can get your music out there and all of that. But like, how do you navigate all of that? And
I think that's a good question. So I got two ways to answer, because you asked specifically about me and then about what other people could do. Yep. So for me, I started off with the American Idol mindset. In fact, we worked on American Idol for 2 years, but I tried to work my way in through and work my way up through the ranks, and just didn't work at all. And I think when I quit, my plan was, I knew it was going to take at least 5 years, and it's been 7. I knew what I'd have to do is leave, build my brand up to where I didn't need them. Then I could go back and talk to them. So it's kind of a catch-22. You got to like build your brand up to where you don't, if you can't walk away from the negotiating table, you're not negotiating. You're just working out the deals of the terms of your slavery. That's what someone told me. So if you need, like I've seen a lot of rappers especially, because they're usually pretty broke when they sign their deals. They usually sign it because they have to, because they need that money so they could pay their bills, because they've racked up debt from doing their gig. And once you're in that position, you probably aren't going to get a good deal. But if you don't need them, you can just say no to stuff and cross it off in the contract and then walk away, or ask for the amount of money you need. And that's where you want to be. So my advice is to make your money, build your business before you approach someone. It's kind of like a bank, right? The bank doesn't give you a loan unless you don't need the loan, pretty much. So same thing with the record label. You want to make sure before you talk to them, you don't need them.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess I would say that for any yeah, thank you. I would say any relationship, you don't want to need the other person.
From
You want it
personal
to,
relationships to business to all of that.
yep. Anybody that you're bringing on your team, anybody that you're bringing in your circle, anybody that you're dating, like just like all of that, you want to protect your energy, so that your energy isn't being depleted.
Yeah. So what are ways that you protect your energy?
Well, okay. So I don't know how I can give like ways. I mean, I meditate, I do, but the most impactful thing is I changed my circle. So when I was working for the record label and I was in the industry world, it's all about getting to that next person, right? And it's like, that guy's an A&R for this. I need that. I'm gonna talk to him and try to become friends with him. But I wasn't becoming friends with him. I was becoming friends with his title and what he could do for me.
Climbing the ladder, but
right.
People.
Right. So then I had a friend I really liked. He taught special ed kids out of like an elementary school, right? Nothing related to this at all. I just liked hanging out with him. And one day I was talking to his dad, and his dad said, "You know what I do, right?" And I'm like, "No, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a projectionist." I was like at a movie theater? He goes, "Well, yeah, but for people's home theaters." I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of cool." And he was like, "Yeah, so if they want to watch a movie that just came out, I bring the film to their house, plug it up, and then they can watch it. And I pack it back up and I take it back away." This guy routinely would be at my boss's house, right? So I'm like, all right, that shifted my whole thing of like, I don't have to climb up the ladder. I can just be friends with anyone and I'll be able to be connected to everyone. So from that point forward, I just looked at, do I love being around this person? Do they fuel me and my soul? And if the answer is yes, then they become my friend and I want to spend time with them. I used to also do like the business card thing. I don't have a business card anymore, but I talk to people. Hey, here's my business card. Where's yours? Thank you. I had a stack of business cards, and none of the people that are on a business card am I connected to anymore. Like not one of those business cards. Now, when I go networking, I go, I'm gonna make one friend. So I look around, and whoever I just keep bouncing into and go, hey, you're cool. We just follow each other on Instagram. We become friends.
That's awesome. I love that.
So I would say that was the best thing I can say to like protect your energy is just make sure you're only surrounding yourself with people who fuel you.
Yep.
You know Deb Johnston?
Deb Johnston?
She was a Team Salmon for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was one of the first people that I was really like, okay, this is the caliber of person I want. Because she said something to me where she said like, me and my husband, we're not even concerned about you. You're inevitable. So she was like, let's not even talk business. Let's just chill because you don't have to worry about nothing. And like, that was the first time I ever had someone believe in me and see my future. So I was like, all right, I'm going to hang out with more people like her. And sure enough, just being around her, I met more and more and more. And now because of her, I'm related to you because I would have never been on team.
Yes. I think I know exactly who you're talking about because she had a really big impact on me when I joined team as well, even before I joined team.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. So you knew her before. So people who are listening, team is short for Team Management and Leadership Program, which Malachi and I both took at kind of different points. We were in team together, but in different parts of it, phases, because there's different. Anywho, long story short,
you were on your way out. You're on your way out. I was on my way in.
Exactly. So Deb is a mutual friend from there, and cool stuff. So really awesome people are attracted to this program because really cool people invite other really cool people.
So, essentially, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it's like Deb and all other people that we know from this program. It's kind of like when you go. It's like when you go somewhere, and honestly, I don't know if that everybody has these experiences, but if you do, I like to find random people at like raves and festivals that I just like I'll look around and I'm just like vibing to the music and I look and then I lock eyes with someone and then I go up to them and I'm like, you, like, whole family. And it's just like an instant it doesn't happen all the time, but there are times where you just like see someone or like you said, you keep bumping up into them and you just instantly know maybe you guys were friends in a past life, maybe you guys are, you know, connected in another spiritual way, or maybe you're just like really cool people. And I don't know, I try to put words to it, but it's like you can feel that their intentions are pure and that they've done work on themselves, or they're at a place in their lives where they're not trying to get something from you. They're just being, and they're here to just be,
and they can see you.
And they can see you. And it's hard to put into words what that means, but if you know, you know.
Yeah, I think, you know, they always say opposites attract, but that's not true. It's you attract, you know, wherever you're vibrating, that's the people you attract. You know, like, you know, jocks will attract other jocks, you know, and then like chess, you know, grandmasters, they attract other people that think like that, you know. And, you know, if you're growing and you're spiritual and you're creative, you're going to attract more people like that. So whatever you want to attract, just become more of that thing, and you'll see like people will literally gravitate towards you.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about spirituality, like being important for creativity. Can you speak a bit about that? Like how spirituality is a necessary part about being creatively successful.
All right. Yeah. Everything is just energy, you know. I don't know if everyone agrees with that or not, but if just assume that this is true for the sake of this, what I'm about to say next. When you're making something creative, really it's you contributing energy into the world. Especially music, because music literally is waveforms just coming at you, right? And people think that they have to write good melodies or, you know, come up with clever lyrics, but really you just have to have an energy that when it hits the person makes them go, oh. And once you do that, it doesn't really matter if you're speaking in the same language or not. Like you can, you know, songs that aren't even in your language that you're like, I like this song, I don't know why, I just like it. That's your spirit like connecting to it energy wise. It's actually, so resonance, you know what resonance is?
I'm familiar with that.
I'll explain it for anyone that maybe doesn't relate to that word in a scientific term. So everything vibrates in the world. Everything has a vibration to it. And one of my teachers gave me this good one. Imagine you have a tub filled with water and you put your hand in it and you go back and forth really quick. You'll just splash the top of the water and that'll be all you can really do. If you move your hand really slow, the water just moves around your hand and nothing happens to the water. But there's a specific frequency that if you go back and forth, each time it'll gather a little more water until you're able to throw all the water out of the tub, right? So that's that frequency is the resonant frequency of that tub. So that's the way someone explained it to me. And then I took that and applied it to music and it made it make even more sense. People have resonant frequencies. So when you're making music, you have to figure out what frequencies do I need to hit this person's body with so that their body vibrates with it and then explodes over. Kind of like when a woman hits a high note and then a glass explodes, that's the same concept. So the reason why spirituality matters in this conversation is you have to be in tune with your energy and you have to be in tune with the energy of the people you want to move. If you're not in tune with one of those two, your art is never going to work because you can't actually speak to that person. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think, you know, that's why you'll see like genres of music pop up where there's like whole groups of people that only hang out with themselves. And then they listen to music from someone else and like, oh, that's crap, that hurts my ears. It's just a different frequency that doesn't vibrate, doesn't resonate. Mm-hmm. And I started noticing that. So I'm really good at like switching my vibration and being a chameleon and going from one to another. I really am just a connoisseur of art in general. And because of that, I'm really good at making music for everyone, but I'm really bad at making monumental, great art for anyone because it's just even all the way across. Mm-hmm. But that there's a need for that. So I figured out where I fit.
Nice. What's your favorite type of music to create for? What's your favorite vibration?
I don't know if I have a favorite. It's like saying what's your favorite food. It depends on what you're in the mood for. Right. I like healing music. So healing and confident. So those are I'm going to say those are the energies, right? So then like if you listen to hip hop, a lot of hip hop is very confident. And I'll listen to that on my way to like a job interview. Like I'll just put on something really confident and just rap along to it because I know it's going to boost my confidence by the time I get there. I try to stay away from sad songs unless I'm in the mood to cry. If I am, then I'll put on a sad song, but I don't listen to it on my way to work. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I see people doing that, but they don't get the impact that it has on them. They think it's just a song, but really it's the energy that you're absorbing.
Yeah, and it's kind of programming you too, right?
That's true.
Programming you to be a certain way.
Yeah, some of the songs I listen to, I'm like, this is like kind of toxic in that it's like either a victim mentality or yeah, I guess that's it, a victim mentality. And I'm like, ooh, I would never put a song out like this because I don't want any kids to hear it and then sing along, and that starts to program how they deal in this specific situation. You know, I also don't do over the top like I love myself, yay I love myself, because it also doesn't work if the people see the message on the surface. You kind of have to put it underneath while you wave something cool in front of them.
What's your favorite song that does that?
Oh man,
if you can think of one.
I can think of a few songs that I listen to on our I mean I love Don't Worry Be Happy anytime. Yeah, that one just feels so good no matter what. I could put it on a loop, but that one is over the top because it's like right in your face with the happy. Let me see, confident one. Right lately I've been listening to Jack Harlow. He's got that What's Poppin', brand new whip just hopped in. That song is super confident.
I love it. It's so catchy too.
Yeah, his whole album is like confidence nonstop. So I'm in a place where I would like to be as confident as I can because I got a lot of meetings ahead of me. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to this album. I'm very conscious about what I choose to listen to.
Yes.
Try not to listen to anything where people are hurting people or being hurt.
Right. Very important. Very important for our subconscious and our spiritual connection to the world, or energetic connection, what we're telling ourselves. We even like the things we hear, even like in the background, it's all affecting our consciousness. So yeah, that is solid advice for sure.
Yeah, so that's the spiritual side of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and also just making sure you have, because you're giving your energy, so you want to make sure that you're always replenishing it somewhere, so as you make your art it doesn't leave you depleted.
Yes, very important.
Yeah, also if you're going to make a sad song, because like you have to every so often, right? You want to like put block time to do it, and then don't do it outside of that time. So like, hey, I've got 10 hours, not even, I'm going to say 5 hours to dedicate to this, because the longer you sit in that, the sadder your whole life will be. And that's one thing I learned the hard way.
How did you learn that?
I was working on I was in a sad place, but then I noticed like the more I worked on music, the sadder I got. I was like, it's supposed to make me happy. And then I was like, oh, no wonder why it's not making me happy. All my songs are sad. Yeah. So, you know, I was like, all right, I'm going to switch it up. I made happy songs. And next thing you know, I was happy all day. I was like, oh, it's just the energy that you're swimming in all day.
Yeah. Like sometimes you need to get it out and just like process it, make a song, write it down, and then just be done with it. And then switch it up.
Yeah.
In a happy place.
Schedule it. You know, they say you can't numb one emotion without numbing all of them. So I schedule my sad time. I schedule my angry time, but I make sure that those aren't in a space where it could be detrimental to, you know, what I'm building in my career and with my life.
That's perfect. So is there any final gem of wisdom that you want to leave us with before we close this conversation out?
It's not your job to be creative. It's your job to create an environment in which creativity is inevitable.
Oh my goodness. Can you say it again?
I'll say it again.
For everybody.
Yeah. It's not your job to be, it's not your job to be creative. It's your job to create an environment in which creativity is inevitable.
That's amazing. Seriously, it's energy healing, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's calling in the divine to just channel through into this space.
Yeah. Yeah. And also accepting that you are the divine, like, and it is you. I think that's one thing is I was always trying to channel it. And then one day I just like said, wait a minute. No, I am it. And then it was channeled.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, I can go about my day now. Thank you.
Yeah. There's nowhere to be, nothing to do. You it's just here.
It's just you are. That's
Yep.
you.
You are.
That's beautiful. So
Sweet.
how can people get a hold of you?
So yeah, if you go to my website, malachimott.com, it's MALACHIMOTT. You can actually, if you just want to chat, there's a Calendly link, and you can literally hit me up, and I'll have a chat. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm very active on there. Hit me up, send me a DM.
And your handles are Malachi Mott.
Yep, I keep it simple. Everything is just first and last name, malachimott.com. That's it. And Malachi Mott on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it.
Yeah. And then, so if anybody listening, if you want to make your creative dreams a reality, hit up Malachi. He can, have a little discovery call consultation with you, even just to like have a conversation.
Yeah, hit me up. I've got time, so do it in the next 3 months.
Yeah. And then music. How can people listen to your music?
Okay, go on the same thing. Go on the website. I put it all in one place, so you can actually find it there. Because I'd have to send you to different brands, and that would take too long. But if you scroll down, I've got some Spotify playlists right on my website. You can hear some stuff I've produced, stuff I've remixed for other people.
Awesome, epic.
Thanks.
Very cool. Yes.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, thank you so much. Very cool. Yay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your magic with us.
Thanks for giving me space to be magical.
Absolutely. We set the environment for creativity and magic to arise. And look what just happened. It's amazing.
Ta-da.
Yay.